Hello, welcome back to my channel, Kissed by Starlight. Thank you so much for being here. So, continuing on the theme of what would your soul like you to know, I'm going to pull some cards and ask our angels, guides and helpers, your angels, guides and helpers. Thank you for showing us. What's your soul? What message would your soul like you to know today? And I really feel when I was choosing the cards, I choose intuitively. I'm guided to the particular decks. I have so many decks, and I'm always guided to which particular decks to use in a reading. And today it just really felt like it was a message from almost from the earth, from nature spirits, animal guides and helpers. And look at that. It's funny because yesterday I'm sure we had the Phoenix card, or at least it's appeared in a few of my readings over the weekend. So really beautiful transcendence. And there's this, I don't know if you can hear my guinea pigs in the background, but they've started squeaking really loudly. So I think they're excited. They're expressing excitement about this beautiful bird, this phoenix, this transcending, this rising above whatever has brought us to our knees, whatever's been bringing you, to a place of absolute, I don't even know, it could be surrender, or that place of where you just begin to rise, and you start to see what needs to be seen, the words that need to be spoken, the energy that is there now, that is lifting you out of whatever this has been for you. And this will be different for everybody because this is a general reading. I know I always say that, but we all have different versions of sometimes a similar energy, but it will affect people in different ways. It will be, for some it will be at home, for some it will be at work, for some it will be in relationships, connections, or for some it will be your ongoing, sort of spiritual journey or relationship with yourself. But whatever this is, whatever this has brought you to, it's the rising from the ashes, it's the flames that lift you higher out of anything that is no longer acceptable. I'm hearing no longer being able to tolerate whatever this is, whatever has taken you to this place, has brought you to the brink of your of what you can manage, what you can deal with, or what's okay or not okay. It's this moment where you rise and you absolutely confront and deal with, and your passion, your fire, your truth is there for everybody to see, and there's no denying the truth. I think we said this in the reading yesterday. There's absolutely no denying the truth when it's there. Everybody can feel it, especially if you're a sensitive person. You can feel when there is truth and when there is not truth, and somebody standing in their truth, the energy is just like kind of electric. It's that moment of like everybody feels it. Your hair stand on end. There's an energy of wow, there's no denying this. So, and look, underneath we've got speak, and we've got the beautiful wolf. And wolf has been coming up as a animal medicine a lot recently, and there's so much symbolism to the wolf that, in the background we've got this beautiful moon, which is kind of partly hidden. This sense of maybe not everything has been clear in the, I'm feeling in the past, not everything about the situation was clear. Not everything was, you may have just sort of been there thinking it was an ordinary situation, or things were fairly ordinary, or there wasn't much, certainly not, what has come to light, what has come to bring you to this point of now there's no denying whatever this is. There's no denying the situation. There's no hiding from the situation. It's now the time to confront it, and there's support in the background. There's support there. There's an idea that there are others around you. There are like-hearted souls supporting you or standing with you in this quest or this situation that is maybe forcing you to speak your mind or to stand up and speak about what's happened. You know, whatever this is, I sense a kind of anger as well. There's a kind of little bit of anger, and sometimes a little bit of anger can actually help you to find the passion and the courage to stand up for yourself, you know. But obviously, you know, it's never right to act out on other people or to put anger onto other people in any way. This is about, you know, obviously being mindful of that, but it's just about having the energy now. Something has brought you to a point where you finally have the energy to be able to stand up for whatever this is and speak. And underneath is the card of medicine, of healing, and that reminds me of the, is it the caduceus, the symbol of healing. I don't know if it's normally 2 snakes or 1. For some reason I'm thinking normally it's 1, but I could be wrong. But this idea of medicine and this idea of union, you know, for some this will be also relating to the Kundalini energy rising, you know, that Kundalini energy, the serpent rising through the chakras, through the energy rising to meet each other at that precise place where union can happen as this energy rises and builds. And for anybody going through, you know, the Kundalini awakening, it can be a really painful and pressured situation. So I don't know a lot about that, you know, in terms of information, because I do think it's different for everybody in how they experience this. But if this is to do with another person, there's very much this meeting of, you know, meeting of minds, meeting of souls, meeting of hearts. There's this idea of coming together, this idea of being brought together to there's this energy of rising. There's this energy of rising, of being uplifted by a situation, transcending a situation. So perhaps it's that you've overcome something with somebody, or perhaps you will be overcoming something with somebody, a situation that has been, you know, very perhaps painful, perhaps difficult, perhaps it's brought up anger, and perhaps you've found out something that you didn't know, that has, you know, this new information, these revelations that have come to light and keep coming to light in this energy. Because wow, there's been such a lot of just a lot of revelations, a lot of things coming to the surface to be seen, a lot of things being spoken about that we maybe have had no idea about, that maybe come as a shock. There's been shocks, there's been whoa there's been shocks, there's been things. All the cards are on the floor. Excuse me for 1 minute, I'll have to pick them up. Yeah, and perhaps you've been confronted by a situation that has felt really overwhelming, you know, a situation where it's almost like you've been hunted, or you've been the target of something, some kind of situation where really the roles have reversed. You know, you see the fox, and the fox normally would be chasing the birds, right? They're chasing the chickens, or the, you know, here we've got ravens. But here, the whole flock, I don't know the name for a group of ravens, but they, or crows, they've come to confront the fox. You know, they're all like, we're not having this, you're not having one of this. Or maybe the fox has caused some damage, and here come the cavalry to come and, you know, confront this situation, They've all, it's almost like karma, this idea of karma, having to bite him on the bum now, because he's been chasing these birds and now they've all had enough. They're like, no more. And it's like, here we saw the support in this card with the wolf, and we saw the phoenix rising, and we saw the two like-hearted souls meeting. Here there's this sense of, you know, everything being perfect in how it's happened. So it may feel as though it's been unjust, it may feel as though it's been really challenging and difficult, and whatever happened has been really, really sad, in some way, shape or form. Perhaps there's been sadness, perhaps there's been betrayal, perhaps it may not even be that, but the revelations that have come about have certainly brought a sadness, almost like a desolation, you know, this feeling of, what was it all about? What you know, why has this happened? What's this been for? Why am I in this situation? Or why has this situation presented itself? And, you know, this card of perfection is saying, even though things have come about the way that they have. So look, we've seen the rose dying back, you know, the rose, the petals on the ground, it's died. It's winter, you know, that the flowers are leaving, and yet the sun is shining on the new growth that is to come. We're reminded of the perfection of nature, you know, as the cycle continues. So there is death, but there is also new life. You know, there are the moths here, which is unusual to see moths in sunlight, because normally we think of them in the dark. So there's this idea that there's this everything being able to live together, everything being able to move forwards together. There's a new way being opened, there's a new opening. And look, I didn't notice, but there's actually moths here as well. Now, moth symbolism, moth medicine, is all about transforming the shadows. You know, it's about facing the shadows, facing the darkness, and bringing it to the light. They're drawn to the light. You know, we bring the shadows to the light. We allow these things to come up. We've also got the dragonflies. The dragonflies are all about illusions, and they're all about perfection. They can fly in any direction. They can deal with whatever is coming. They can catch their meal by flying forwards, backwards, sideways. You know, they're incredible, and they are millions of years old. I think it's something like 300 million years old. So the wisdom that they carry is incredible. They also are born out of the water and into the air. So they've learned to navigate and to have to live in different habitats, which is an incredible thing, really. So again, we've got this sense of everything coming together, the sense of everything coming together in this situation to assist for everything to be brought to the light. Almost, it's almost like everybody is not necessarily in their right usual place, or exactly as you would imagine them to be in this situation. Roles have reversed, or karma's had to play out, or things have come to light that weren't expected. Perhaps feelings have been unearthed that weren't expected. Perhaps now it's the time to really face the shadows, face the things that have been hidden, face the people or the situations that have, you know, crossed boundaries, or created situations that have been sad or that are no longer tolerable. And here is the medicine, here is the healing, here is the union, here is the understanding as everybody faces their perfect situation and receives their perfect initiations, tests, lessons, challenges, or whatever it is that we've all got to overcome. And we all do have to overcome. Here we are being shown that, you know, all is as it needs to be now. Even as the old dies away, the new will be born out of the old, just like we see the old, you know, the older roses dying away, and yet here is the new growth. We're reminded of spring will always come, summer will always come round again, and these beautiful flowers will be born again, and so everything is perfect. Perhaps there is going to be a period of acclimatization, and it is going to require that commitment, but I'm also seeing victory, a victory in overcoming whatever this is, and whatever this is brought to light, whatever has come to the surface with these revelations. There's a victory, there's an honouring of your commitment to the situation, to the healing, to the facing of whatever it is. Yeah, look, perfect. The situation is being healed. Whatever this situation is, it's had to play out like this. It's had to happen like this so that everybody got a taste of, I wanted to say a taste of their own medicine. I've no idea why I wanted to say that. So I'll put that there. Maybe that's relevant for somebody. But it's almost as though everybody's had to really, truly see. And in some way, shape or form, something's had to be switched round for that. So something's had to be out of the ordinary or out of place or happen in an unexpected way. And although, you know, we were talking earlier about how this may have brought you to your knees in some ways, you know, it may have been incredibly difficult. I do really feel there's this moving out of difficult waters now with this situation, as you've got used to this situation, as you've understood the situation and navigated all the different stages of it, because I think there's been different cycles. It's gone through all different cycles that perhaps have taken you through many different emotions, very different phases and cycles of completion that have had to come full circle again. But whatever has happened here, everything's coming together, everyone's coming together for the highest good, for this to play out, and for there to be this letting go. This I see this card, this acceptance card, as the letting go, as the moving out of difficult waters into easier times, you know, and just kind of like this energy here of transcendence. You know, what is going to help you move through this situation is going to be your acceptance, your surrender, your letting go of whatever has been difficult. And yeah, look, again, this symbolism of the boat moving out of the troubled waters and into easier times. Sorry, these are all, they're not quite sitting there. I'm sorry, looks a bit of a mess. And maybe that's part of the reading, that this maybe looks like it's a bit of a mess. It's felt messy, it's felt difficult. You've had to have a lot of courage. This has not been easy. And look, even as the boat is moving through the storms, and it's a bit unknown as to what is going to be faced. And yet, even though we see the lightning striking here, we see this huge surge of power and energy, and this definite moving out of difficulty into brighter waters and peace. You know, perhaps you've had to face whatever this difficult situation is, and it's almost like that became difficult to speak then. It's again this card of speaking up. You know, you've had to face and speak and confront things. You've had to have the courage to actually face whatever this situation is that's been really, really difficult. And look at that. That's the energy I'm talking about. That's the energy that I'm speaking of, where the boat is moving into this energy. You're moving into this energy of acceptance, of surrender, of power. And I think that's what it is, coming back to the phoenix, coming back to the union, the divine masculine, the divine feminine rising, meeting each other, healing, and this union finally happening. So if this is a twin flame journey that you've been going on, and there's been, oh wow, you've just had to go through so much, you know, it may not be a twin flame situation. It may only be that for some people. For others, it will be, you know, perhaps meeting the divine feminine, the divine masculine in yourself as you come into union with yourself, with those energies, with that understanding of how they've been working together and what you've had to face for them to work together, to face the shadows, to face the healing that has come up. And this has meant that you've gone through a lot of situations that have been difficult, perhaps frightening, perhaps overwhelming, emotional, but you know, you're coming out of this perhaps feeling a little bit like you've been thrown around and, you know, battered about a bit by the winds and the storms of life, you know, in some way, shape or form. But now is the kind of acceptance. Now is the moving into easier times. Now is the victory. And look at these 3 arms outstretched in that victory pose, in that, you know, that sort of, it's almost like that moment where man meets spirit, heaven, and says, you know, I'm free, I'm you know, save me, or I'm free, or I made it, you know, victory, I understand now, I surrender, you know, I'm alive, I'm grateful, you know, whatever that energy is. It's this real rising. And again, it mimics the wings of the phoenix. So there's very much this idea of, you know, we made it, and we're a bit brighter. We're a bit brighter. It may have been really difficult, but actually there's a lot more power within us now. There's a lot more. And I love this energy, because even though it's been born out of something that's been really hard to face, this energy is of the true warrior who surrenders to spirit, and yet says, you know, I'm here, I made it, I surrender, I'm ready for whatever comes next. Let's see what comes next. Let's just get a taste of what this energy, this beautiful power surge, these light codes and activations, this healing is bringing for you, and what your soul would like to know about what's coming next. Because I think, oh, beautiful, beautiful. So your soul would like you to know that what's coming next, what's being born out of all this, facing the shadows and these difficulties and this healing and this beautiful energy that lifts you into passion and courage, and, you know, is actually what's coming next is joy. What's coming next is a lightheartedness, a freedom, a heart opening. And again, even the flower is reminding me of this opening, this courage, this saying, you know, I made it, I'm here, I've gone through this, I've learned something, I've learned something about myself, I've learned something about a situation, and now I'm truly ready for that, for this love, or I'm truly ready for this healing, or I'm truly ready for this commitment to myself, or I'm truly ready to be in joy with my life, with my loved ones, with my family, whatever this is. This is really, really beautiful. This is really, really beautiful. And I can feel my heart just feeling this beautiful energy, this beautiful opening, this beautiful, you know, wanting to know what's next. There's an excitement, because look at this woman. This woman is showing the lightness of heart, the ability to just, you know, throw all her cares away and dance through the streets, knowing that there is something bigger and greater than her, which is spirit, which is God, which is the angels, you know, whatever it is for you. This knowing that life has brought her to where she is now. And it's not been easy. It's not been easy. There's been a lot to go through. There's been a lot to feel. There's been a lot of healing. Even this reminds me of, you know, the crystals. So maybe crystals are important for you. Maybe there is a crystal that's going to help you. But ultimately, there's this healing. There's this union. There's this coming into union, either with yourself or with another, or perhaps that's what's coming. Perhaps that's what's next for you. If this has been born out of having to leave someone behind or something behind, now is the next chapter is just light and free, and it's all there for you. Look, in the acceptance, in the letting go, in the surrender is something greater. Well done for having the courage, to speak, to rise up out of this situation. Well done for committing to yourself and navigating what you've had to go through. I do hope this reading's made sense, because at times there was a lot of information, there was a lot going on. I hope it made sense to people and that you could see what this is for you. But whatever this has been, ahead is the letting go, the joy, the opening of the heart to the next exciting chapter of what's to come. And I would love to hear what that is for you. If you would like to share, please do. Thank you so much, beautiful ones, for joining me for this reading. I'm so grateful for you, and if you like my readings, please do consider liking, sharing and subscribing, and I very much look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much.